Hey guys, how's it going? Today, I'm going to be featuring the Vasteras, the Tier 5 Pan-European destroyer that you can fully research in the next update if you weren't lucky enough to have gotten these ships out of crates. In this game, it is 5 destroyers per team, which typically isn't the most fun matchmaking to have. And one thing about this destroyer is that it is definitely a speed bump. This ship, I won't say sucks, but it is definitely one of the more difficult ships to play. And once you get to the Skane, the tech tree gets a lot more fun and feels a lot better to play. Pushing into the cap is definitely something that you typically want to try and avoid, simply because you do not have a smoke screen, and if you shoot and stay spotted, you will be in trouble. Fortunately, the enemy Mahan ends up smoking up and I go unspotted, so nothing can really shoot me. The torpedoes that the Vasteras launches are still fairly fast for its tier, not quite the 80 knots or 90 knots that the next couple of tiers can do, but they are fast enough. I am able to land a couple of torpedoes on the Mahan, so now he is at very low HP and I will have no problem finishing him off. He is not paying as much attention and facing the wrong way, so I am able to kill him off with one salvo. And now this cap is basically ours. There is an enemy cruiser that is right on the other side of this island from me, so I know I don't really want to engage him, especially at this close of a range. And if he decides to turn in and push me in this Mahan smoke, I will be in a lot of trouble. The cruiser, for whatever reason, is just sitting there, and I don't really feel like I need to deal with him considering how much teammates I have on this flank. So I am just gonna head over to Bravo, where it seems there are multiple enemy destroyers and a lot of ships that are contesting it. I dump a couple of sets of torpedoes at the Arizona in the super narrow spread, hoping to land a bunch of torpedoes as he slowly sails around the island. Kind of hoping that he's not really expecting it, since he is running from ships that are shooting at him from the other side. One of the enemy destroyers are spotted within the cap, and if we shoot him, we can reset him, but at the same time we need to be careful because we are very close to the enemy Arizona. He does actually turn in, but I am fortunate to land one torpedo, which he is going to be on a permaflood for a bit since he damage conned our teammates that were shooting at him with HE. The Arizona is pretty much just gonna keep on pushing out and towards our entire team, and there's just a bunch of ships everywhere. Our team has pretty much left the other flank and we're all on one part of the map, so we've lost most of the map control. While I'm pushing in, I spot the enemy Mahan as he is pushing towards me. He eats a friendly destroyer torpedo, which helps me significantly since the DPM on these main guns are very poor for these ships, with a 7 to 8 second reload. Not the greatest. You definitely won't be outgunning anything in this ship. Maybe one of the Japanese destroyers, but it's definitely not a whole lot. The enemy Arizona is still flooding and has not been able to damage con. I must have hit him with a flood pretty much right when his damage con came off of his active time and went on cooldown. So that Arizona is pretty much going to die. He's at 1 bar left and he finally damage cons, but he's pretty much lost all the HP that he had. I get spotted for a split second and I am located, so I know that there is a destroyer nearby and the cap is contested. and the enemy Skane gets spotted, as well as another destroyer that is in the cap. And like I said, this destroyer does not have good main battery DPM, and going against the Skane that reloads in about 3.5 seconds, which is half the time that the Vasteras does, I am in a battle that I do not really want to take head on. The Skane disengages and the enemy Hatsuharu is spotted and trying to gun down our teammate. I try to slow down to help our friendly destroyer that is engaging them, but unfortunately they end up leaving our firing range. And now I need to start turning around and heading back towards the cap, because we will probably lose our friendly destroyer that is taking the fight. Our friendly Vasteras does go down, and now we are losing 5-4 on ships, and the points are slightly in the enemy's favor. So trying to contest Bravo and slowing down the enemies from pushing from the other side of the map will help our teammates basically figure out that they need to start heading towards the middle of the map instead of chasing a cruiser that's in their spawn. Since I am located and I have my RPF pointing towards the Skane, I know that he is still the closest ship, that Hatsuharu has not made an attempt to actually push in yet. Their Leander is coming into Bravo, and since he is my biggest threat, I dump some torpedoes his way. I need to be very careful to not get spotted, but I do end up getting spotted by their Skane. I do end up going unspotted for a second, and their Hatsuharu is actually in front of me as well. Luckily, I am able to finish off their Hatsuharu and go unspotted for a brief moment, just so that the enemies can't actually shoot at me right when I get around the corner, and it gives me a little more time to disengage. The Skane is trying to chase me, and the Skane's firing angles forward is not very good, and like the IJN destroyers, I have 2 turrets in the back of my ship, so I actually have more guns on target versus the enemy Skane, which works out in our favor. We are able to angle towards the Leander and ricochet his AP. The enemy Skane does try to stop and reverse to try and go unspotted, which he does, and the enemy Leander is still trying to chase us and finish us off. We are still spotted from the enemy destroyer, so we need to just play very safe, especially since we are the only destroyer that's left for our team. I launch torpedoes for the Leander once again, hoping to kill him off. I'm thinking that he's using sonar, so those torpedoes are spotted, and I actually end up getting spotted by the Leander. So I start shooting at him, since I probably won't go unspotted anytime soon, and I can ricochet his AP as long as I angle well. My teammates are finally coming back towards the middle of the map, and I am gonna get some help. And finally, the Leander will go down to our friendly cruiser that has pushed in. Now it is a 3 versus 3. The enemy does have 2 destroyers, and one of them is a tier 6. So I do need to be very careful in order to help our team win. I am at 4 kills, and spoiler alert, I end up with 7. So this game is gonna end in a hard carry. The enemy cruiser gets spotted entering B, so we know there are for sure 2 ships within the B cap, and one of them is the Skane. I start heading back in, and I'm gonna try to be very careful, and their other destroyer, which is another Skane, does get spotted, and I do need to try and put myself in between the destroyers and our cruiser, because nothing else besides me will spot those 2 destroyers. I do, however, need my teammates to kill off the cruiser as much as they can. Because that cruiser is full health, he will be my biggest problem. I'm just gonna keep sailing towards the enemy destroyers, keeping an eye on my RPF, because that is the closest ship, and since it is pointing towards where those destroyers were, chances are that is where I will be spotted from. So I need to keep my guns facing that way so that I can kill them off. My RPF eventually flips off my bow instead of to the left, so I know that the destroyer is right next to me, in front of me, and it is the Skane that is on low HP. I call target in hopes that my teammates will help me kill him off before I lose too much of my HP, especially since the other destroyer has basically full HP. Fortunately, I am able to kill him off without taking too much damage, and I get my Kraken. The enemy Dallas is starting to open up on me, and I do not want to die, at least not yet. This game is still very much winnable, even though it is a 2 versus 2 and they have a tier 6 destroyer. I noticed Dallas stops turning his guns towards us since we go unspotted and starts shooting at our teammate. I launch torps very short and one towards where he's going to be heading, because I'm assuming he might stop bow in or put himself between that island and try to mitigate the damage that's incoming to him. But he ends up just going forward at full speed. I switch to AP since I know I can pen the Dallas's casemate and get full penetration damage. The enemy destroyer does get spotted right next to the Dallas, and maybe the torpedoes that I am launching will actually hit the Skane, since he seems to just be sitting there and reversing. And if these torpedoes have range, which I think they do, they would reach. However, the Skane does start going forward. I do need to get into the cap, because if our teammate dies to the Skane, we will be down on points. So trying to contest the capture and maybe even flipping it into our favor will help us win this game, especially since our cruiser has very little HP. Even though the torpedo prediction said that the torpedoes will not have range, I launched them extremely short, assuming that this Skane will turn in and come back towards the cap as soon as he kills off our cruiser. And right now I do have similar HP to the enemy destroyer, because our cruiser was able to do enough damage to him that now the playing field is evened out and I have a much better chance at winning this game for our team. So now I am just gonna sit here and wait for the enemy destroyer to come back in. I get spotted, so my predictions were correct that he would turn back and come towards the cap, but my torpedoes missed. The enemy Skane is only using his front guns while I'm able to use all 6 of mine, which, now that he's trying to turn broadside and use both of his turrets, it is far too late, and I'm able to secure the kill, get my 7th one, and secure a win for our team in this tier 5 destroyer in a tier 6 match. And here you can see that we did almost 3,900 base XP in a tier 5. This is something that you don't see very often, almost never. But that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Leave a comment down below for any ships you want to see in the future. Share with your friends. But until next time, aloha.